So this episode is brought to you by Sports and Ortho Physical Therapy. I'm here with Dalia Fahmy, owner of Sports and Ortho, where they specialize in rehabilitation services of fire and police. Dalia, welcome.
Thanks, Corey. It's really nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
So Dalia, tell me about Sports and Ortho and what makes you guys different than everybody else.
Well, Corey, a lot of people think that all therapy clinics are created equal, but honestly, they're not. We rehabilitate firefighters, paramedics, and police officers the same way we would rehabilitate professional athletes. You can't have the same rehab for this population as you do for a 60-year-old, for example. We have customized our rehab of this population specifically to what they need to do at work. We have a saying at our clinic, which is this is not your grandma's clinic, which basically means that we understand there's a difference between Chicago's finest and your typical injured person.
So how exactly do you guys customize it?
That's a really good question. Well, first of all, we have all the equipment needed to rehabilitate true to form. In many of our clinics, we have drag dummies, stretchers, punching bags, ladder climbers. We even have our own fire engine in one of our Southside clinics. But most importantly, we recognize the need to be aggressive from day one. We don't believe in passive therapy. We push our patients from day one so that they can come back faster and stronger.
That's awesome. That's pretty much how we train. How long does it typically take for you guys to get an injured person back to work? Let's say after like a surgery.
Our average, Corey, is less than 5 months, even for big surgeries like ACL repairs or rotator cuff surgery. In the last 17 years that we've been open, we've had less than 10 people not return back to work from an injury. I think that's a pretty good track record.
Wow. Yeah, that is impressive. Well, folks, there you have it. If you're looking to get back from an injury, look up our friends at Sports and Ortho. They have 7 locations across Chicagoland. You can find them online at sportsandortho.net. Thank you, Dalia, for being here.
Pleasure was all mine, Corey.
Engine 1, Engine 4, Truck 2, Truck 10, Ambulance 82, Battalion 2, Fire 1020 North Main, help is on the way.
Welcome back to Chicago's Bravest Stories. We're going to pick up where we left off with Brian Woznicki from part 1. We're going to continue the conversation with Brian Woznicki, Dan Traeder, Alfredo Caballero, and myself and Corey. We've gotten some messages about certain terminology. If some of the acronyms and military jargon you'd like to know, send us a message through our social media, and we'd be more than happy to answer those questions. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Enjoy part 2.
We stopped for a minute, pulled back. Well, the grunts all got in position. Now, they'd already dropped pamphlet. Like, they know we're coming. There's nothing hidden about it. They didn't know what we were doing, but they knew everyone was coming.
They knew things were imminent, yeah.
And, I mean, you could tell they were, like, launching rockets and shooting mortars out at us for the last 5 days. But they didn't know.
Like, what was the feel? Like,
they didn't know what they didn't know what they were. They weren't aiming at anything. They knew we were out there. They didn't know where we were.
You felt the pressure of being behind enemy lines, though, right? I mean, you were...
Yeah, I mean, we were in between them and us, so I guess it wasn't... I mean, we were... Soon we will be,
right,
for sure, in the city, but not yet. So the grunts are getting into position, and I remember being up on the top of the building. This little, like I said, a outcropping building. I don't know what it was. Yeah, literally nothing in it. Like a one-room building. Yeah. And we're watching, and they got like they're bombing the city now. Now they're hitting it hard,
hammering it.
Yeah, now it's coming. It's coming. And it was a real kind of surreal moment where it's like the significance of what was going on. And we stopped and we kind of talked about it. It was me, Shep, Tom, and was like, this is pretty fucking cool. Like typical Marines. Like not like we understand the significance, but not at the time.
Yeah, it looks nice though.
Like they're bombing the fuck out of them now. Why don't we just do that the last 5 days? Like we're getting fucked, blah blah.
Yeah, tough.
And this was our time because we haven't slept. We've slept like minimal the last few days. This was our time to sleep before we go in.
Right.
That wasn't gonna happen. We were so wired. We knew this was going down. So what happened was the grunts go in like the first row of buildings. They're in the city now.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, it's over. The only chance they ever had was stopping us before we got in the city. It's over. And that's actually the what our goal was. Like, our goal was to get the grunts in the city at this point. There was probably, if I sat and like compared everything, it's probably the thing I'm most proud about in the Marine Corps was that I don't think we got so much of a stub toe getting into the city of Fallujah. It's going to change in a few hours when the sunlight comes up, but we were in. It's over. It's over. We're in. Now it's just a matter of how many people are going to get killed and hurt, but we're going to win this. Once they're in,
if you can give an idea of the size of Fallujah. Like, what can you compare it to give some, a visual of
like Old Town? You know what I'm saying? Like a neighborhood in Chicago.
It's a
Yeah,
neighborhood.
seriously,
Yeah.
like Humboldt Park
small,
or like
huh?
it wasn't. It's not big at
Like
all.
Rockford, maybe like a downtown Rock. You ever been in downtown
it
Rockford?
was a bigger town, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't see to the end.
Huh.
And so now they're basically, the U.S. has unleashed the dogs into the city now.
It's over now, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, unless they stop us again.
Right. So at this point, the United States are just clearing building by building, just systematically
So right now-
running through the town.
That's about to start. Right now, we're in the first couple rows of houses, and now my platoon's going in. Now we're splitting up into teams again. We would go in a few blocks ahead and provide sniper overwatch for the grunts to actually clear the buildings, and then they would catch up to us. We would go around.
What kind of resistance were you guys met with at this point?
Minimal in the street.
Yeah.
They were waiting for us. They'd wait for you to get in the house.
Okay.
That's where they had the advantage. Until you got to the main roads in the middle by like the convention center, the mayor's complex, and the mosque. Then they would start shooting at the street, but usually they wait till they have the upper hand.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until. So this is pretty significant. So we first get in there. Now we're about a block or two ahead of the grunts. So now I guess you would say it's behind enemy lines, but it's moving. It's fluid.
Yeah, you're good there.
This is pretty typical of the Marine Corps. All of a sudden you start hearing this music, and you see this PSYOPs, psychological operation Humvees. I don't know if the Army had this, but this is
Those were Army guys.
No.
Yeah.
They
No shit. Yeah.
play music, but it was disturbed.
Down with the sickness.
Blasting down with the sickness down the streets of Fallujah at about fucking 2:00 in the morning.
Letting the bodies hit the floor.
Yeah, just the most aggressive, like,
right.
We used to, our guys used to play the haka. You know what the haka is?
Yeah.
The New Zealand, go Mate! And they'd scream it out, and everybody, because the 25th, the group that I was with attached to, were from Hawaii. A lot of Samoans,
Oh,
a
there
lot
you
of
go.
Fijians,
Yeah,
a lot of
right,
these big
right.
guys.
Yeah.
So they
And that's not nothing. That's significant to them.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was
They
it's
care
a-
about it,
They
yeah.
do that, and the guys would take their gear off, and they'd stand up there, and they'd go Mate! And the big,
Just
big
screaming
beef-eating, big pig-eating Samoans would do that. And then in they went.
And if you guys
Good
could
shit.
see what Dan looks like calling these guys just monsters, like fucking these guys got to be fucking Christ.
I
No
want to
shit.
see how big that guy is that Dan's calling this guy.
Right?
up
He's
to.
like, holy shit, that guy's big. Like fucking,
Hawaiians,
yeah.
Samoans,
Yeah,
and the group in there. I mean, the grunts are always bigger anyway.
Right.
I don't know if like when you picture the Marine Corps, like we talked about the little guy that always makes it. It's Special Forces is filled with little guys that try hard.
Yep.
And the grunts are filled
wiry.
with the grunts are filled with the especially Marines for whatever reason are the big, beefy. I mean that's that image when
Right,
you see
the
Marines.
tree stump fucking, yeah.
Those big guys, in the same way the Army infantry, they're all big cockswinging command. They are.
Yeah. So what does PSYOPs, what does PSYOPs
Psychological
look like?
operations.
Right. But
It was,
what do they
honestly,
look
it
like,
was
though?
probably two nerds in a Humvee with a radio.
Really?
Yeah, they're just there to
No
like.
shit.
They're
Just to
dropping
Just to
mentally.
fuck with everyone's head.
Yeah.
Huh?
These are the same guys that during the first Fallujah would go. They took over the mosque,
Yeah.
and they would go on the mosque. Like, they do their call to prayer and everything. They would call like, "Hey, I'm not doing the accent, but
Right.
come to the mosque and regroup, fight the infidel." Well, you also have snipers in the mosque that are waiting for you to run down
Right,
Ruby
so-
with a fucking rifle.
Right. So truly, like, just
Yeah.
fucking. with
There's a lot
people.
to it.
They would-
We're
for
really
sure.
undervaluing it.
They
There's a
would
lot to
drop
it.
No,
like,
absolutely.
And
No, I got you. Yeah.
When I say two nerds in a truck, I don't. Like you said, undervaluing this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're the ones who make the pamphlets that they would
Yeah.
drop to these guys saying,
Right.
"Give up, and we'll give you food.
Yeah.
We'll give you shelter.
Yep.
Just come out, hands up, drop your weapon."
if you don't,
That's all.
we will kill
Yeah.
you.
Right.
Or the flyer would have a like guy that was just tore up. Like, this is gonna happen to you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
stop fucking around.
Or
You
the
know what I
other
mean?
side, that they show because they gave the citizens of Fallujah a good amount of time
Oh, months.
to get out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
Or
would
weeks, probably.
they broadcast, happy people at the relocation camps or whatever they call them, and
Yeah.
and if you stay here, something bad is going to happen, and if
Yeah.
you leave, something good will happen, because we don't want you there. We want civilians. We want everybody out. So they did a really good job.
Yeah.
Of really clearing
Yeah.
for you guys. Yeah.
And you could tell when we were doing this that they weren't. I don't want to say they weren't prepared, because they did prepare for it. They were just trying to do some kind of show of force, because they weren't shooting at us. They were shooting in the direction. There was
Right.
nothing accurate. There was RPGs shot up where you'd just stop and look up over your head and watch it go 1,000 yards over your head. It's like
And these
they're
guys who you're fighting at this point, these are actual military.
These are dedicated.
Yeah. These
guys are there to
not
fight.
guys.
Yeah.
But for the most part, was like the regular civilians were out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We had some groups you'd see running out.
Right.
Minimal contact with civilians at this time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Minimum would be generous.
Yeah.
I'd say
What would-
twice.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a jack-off question to ask you guys, but like, what do you guys put the population of, like, relative to the everyone's home? What do you think the population of Fallujah is at this point?
I'd be a complete guess.
Yeah.
would it be
A lot.
Is it like?
There's
Would
still
you
a
guys
lot of-
say
there's
like
still
a
a lot of
50%
people
job?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple
Well, I mean,
thousand.
like of like the
I'd say
of the occupancy. Would you say like 50% of it, more, less?
Ask
like,
again.
that were
what's-
fighters.
or just
that
in
we're
general.
still hanging out.
That were still
Oh.
hanging out.
So mom and dad
Five.
family left,
5%.
Minimal.
Yeah.
and shitheads
Really?
moved in.
No kidding. And these were all these were the enemy.
At this
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
they had
Holy
enough
shit.
warning.
Right.
This was it. This was go
Okay.
time. There was
So this-
no.
this
So
was
who
their
was that?
last
Whoever
stand.
was left at this time, were fighting.
They were to be
Yeah,
engaged.
military age males that are ready to throw down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best
like
way to
that.
describe
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So you guys make it from the start of Fallujah to the end. You guys make it all the way through.
Oh, God,
Or,
no. God, no.
how far did you get in a day?
In the first day, we made it about 3 blocks.
Really? It's taken that long, huh?
Well, it's also hesitation, because we're again, you're talking command level decisions here.
Right.
I'm just watching my area at this point. That's all my job is. Nothing really heavy happened until the next morning, the first morning. So 8 hours.
So now
later.
you guys are 3 blocks into this invasion of Fallujah.
Yeah.
And-
sun's coming up.
And now like things are really starting to
Now you
amp
start
up.
hearing it. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
And
Now
so
they know
you just
where
didn't
we're
hear,
at.
hear an increase in gunfire.
Absolutely.
People are getting engaged more.
Yeah.
I mean, across the board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We were down the center. I believe our right side was at certain times was the heaviest. I think that was actually more towards the end, like 2 weeks later. But we were in a building, and I have to tell this story because I'm going to tell a story later. We take this one building, we get to the roof, and we start getting fired upon. And we're on the roof, so there's a middle part that kind of comes up, and it's got like decorative pieces, all concrete, cinder block buildings. And then we're on a roof which has a concrete wall like 4 feet all the way around it. And there's like a sheet metal gate, even though it's a roof. I'm on one side, my buddy Nick Shepard, he's on the other side, and all of a sudden rounds start flying through that gate
You just hear
between
'em-
us.
You just hear them pinging off the metal gate.
And they're coming through it. You could see them.
Really?
Like, there's tracer rounds, which It makes you think. I don't know if they have tracer rounds. I know we do. But we look at each other and we start laughing like, holy fuck, you know?
Well, I heard another podcast where the Iraqis had the tracers because they were still using rounds from the Vietnam War. And so, like, the color was significant. Like, the United States had a certain color and the Vietnamese had a different color.
What do we have? Green?
We have green.
We have green.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember what color it was, to be honest with you.
I feel like theirs were red. And we were green.
I kind of want to say that sounds right, but I'd be guessing now at this point.
I just
Traditionally.
I just feel like that was.
We shoot green.
Yeah.
They shoot red.
We should make that a thing.
I just remember loading. I just remember loading magazines in every
third
number 6 or
Yeah,
3
every
or whatever
third.
the hell it was.
Every 5th round.
yeah,
three at
yeah,
the
it
bottom.
was green. That's,
We-
I remember that, but I
Our
can't
SOP was three tracers at the bottom, and then every third was a tracer, and then your top 3 were tracers, so you could point where they were.
Well, we
That's a
also
lot of
did
tracers.
one mag of all tracers for E&E, so they think
okay,
so
the
they
last
think
one.
they think all hell's breaking
Yeah.
loose.
Okay.
But so we're taking rounds, and there were tracers, and it
feel like they were
makes me
red.
think if they were red. Either way,
Dude, because I know I remember thinking like fucking Star Wars. I'm not lying. I was like, what the fuck, stormtroopers? Like, I remember that shit.
my corpsman Nate took a ricochet. It hit a little decorative molding up on the top and came down through his shoulder. So he got shot. And he falls over and he goes, ow. And me and Shep are fucking dying laughing. Now we're still getting shot at. Like, this is great. This is hilarious. Dude, like, Nate, you just said, ow. Like, who does that? Who gets shot and says, ow? Well, in about an hour, probably, we're going to be talking about another story that's going to come full circle. So in this building, now we're forward of everything. And the grunts are getting ready to do a push past us. But we wanted to spread our team out a little further. This is where it gets a little tough. So we're getting ready to move to a building to our left, or the west of our south, whatever. So I'm trying to paint the picture. There's a large open area next to the building we're in, and there's a building in front. So we're going forward. So we think we have the cover of that building. So we start running. My team leader, me, my ATL, my assistant team leader, my point man, my team leader, me, my assistant team leader, and my slack man, Shep. We start going. I remember stepping off, and I look at the building on the other side, and I see people up on the top. And I waved, little grunts. They waved back, like, oh, we're fucking good. We're covered. We start running. As soon as we get in that open area, all hell breaks loose. They lit us up. They had 2 machine guns set up. One guy, supposedly, I didn't see any. This is what was told to me, ran out of the doorway on the first floor. Another guy was in a window behind us.
So they were waiting for you guys to cross that open area.
Yeah. We thought, remember, we weren't cleared yet. We were moving a little forward, and the grunts were going to come up. So this just happened to be this one building hasn't been hit yet. That's all. Nobody made a mistake or anything. As we're running, I remember looking back, and I saw Dave get hit. And as soon as he got hit, I knew he was dead.
And this
There was
you're talking about Dave Caruso.
Dave Caruso.
Okay.
I knew it was. I mean, the way he fell, there was no control. I knew he was dead instantly. I froze. I didn't know what to do. I did exactly what you weren't supposed to do, but I think in the long run it probably ended up saving my life. I fell. I did what he did. I made my body limp, and I did a face dive. I went face first into the dirt. Hurt like hell.
This is your first casualty
In Fallujah.
In Fallujah.
Yeah. And thinking that maybe they think they're going to hit me. Maybe they think they already hit me, and they hit Dave because we're so close to each other, and that didn't work. They kept firing at me. I could feel the rounds hitting me. I could feel the rounds hitting the ground next to me. The slapping, the snapping. It was like I got my assistant team leader and my point man made it. There was a dumpster in the middle of the area.
And you're still in the opening right
I'm
now.
wide open, laying down, trying to act like I'm dead because I think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
My point man and my team leader are behind a dumpster, like a little rollout box, like a rollout box like we would have here. I'm in the open area. My team leader's yelling, "Woz, don't move, don't move." And I could feel the rounds hitting my pack. I got my rifle shot out of my hands. This is happening now. Like, I'm fucked. And then I hear Shep behind me going, "Woz, move, fucking move." So I got one guy saying, "Don't move." I got one guy saying, "Move." And I remember, this is literally the only time I could ever remember what I'm thinking during a firefight. And my face is buried in the dirt, and I'm going, fuck, 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 fuck.
So had Shep done the same thing that you did?
Shep wasn't being shot at. He was in the open area, but they were aiming for me.
Okay.
And I never got to talk to Shep about. He would never. Not that I never got to talk to him about it. He would never talk to me about it. Shep actually ended up, and I didn't know this till later, crawling up to check on Dave while in the open area, in the kill zone, realizing the end result. He was firing using Dave as cover for me. And I didn't know this till about a year and a half ago.
You just found that out a year and a half ago?
Yeah.
And this was 2004?
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple guys that were still in the house we originated at ran out and started firing to cover us. So I listened to Shep. I picked Shep over my team leader, and I got up and I ran. And I dumped my pack. I had a quick release. I had like a backpack, quick release, which I dumped my sniper rifle, and my silenced M4, my suppressed M4 that I had was gone now too because it was just shot out of my hands. And I started running. Now, I never make fun of any horror movie, cheesy-ass horror movie, where the girl falls down or right. Because my body was running faster than my legs and I fell. I straight out of a movie, I swear to God. And I fell. Then I run to the dumpster, and I run past the dumpster. So now I got to run back to the dumpster. It's just, I'm a fucking idiot.
You ran past you guys that are, where the fuck is he going?
Right.
You're going home. You're going home for all intents and purposes.
I just kept running. I just kept running.
Finish line, man. Yeah.
So I come back, and I get to the dumpster. Now I'm sitting, it's me, I don't want to say names, my point man and my team leader, and I was, rocket hits the dumpster we're in.
And you've got nothing.
I have no weapons at this point. But it was, I never got an answer to this. It was very strange. It wasn't like an RPG. It was like a very long, cylindrical, pointy thing. It came through the dumpster. I have no idea. I've looked it up.
I just looked at Dan and I was like, what the fuck is he
I had no idea
about?
what this thing was. It came through the dumpster, hit the ground, ricocheted off the building that we thought we were going to use for cover, going the other direction, and came back and landed close to us. And me and my team, we were looking at each other like,
what the fuck is that?
This.
Yeah.
And we get up
It's
and we
UFO.
run. Now, right?
It's like white cylindrical plastic.
I couldn't tell you if it was plastic or
Maybe
not.
like a rifle fired grenade thing.
That's the only thing I could possibly think of. But why would it pierce the rollout box?
Dumpster,
Magic, who knows?
So we start running. Now, we go past the dumpster again.
Thinking it's explosive?
Across
or?
the street. I don't know what the fuck it
Okay.
is. I don't want to be by it.
Just trying to find cover at
Sure.
this point.
Yeah.
And we kick open this metal gate, and I'm the first one in there. And now I realize I don't have a weapon. So I kick open the gate to the outside. Now I kick open the door to the house. And what am I going to do if there's somebody in there? I don't have a weapon.
I'm going to throw a rock at him.
So I laugh about this because I let out it was just second nature. I let out my Marine Corps combat scream. I just started screaming.
Some of your war face.
Thank God nobody was in there. So we gather up, collect everybody. Shep made it through. Everyone got in the house. We had to kind of regather. We held up there. And we had a little bit of a skirmish. We had to stop Shep from running out there to get Dave. That was
Oh, bad.
typical Shep, though.
Yeah. guy of the guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had to like, hold him down. We ended up
at this point. Shep already knew he was dead because he was trying to render aid. He just wanted to retrieve the body.
Yeah,
right?
it's. I wish I could say it's just Shep and you guys could understand that, but
Right. Nobody
that's
could.
just how he is. And there'll be more stories about him coming up, but wasn't until everything kind of calmed down. The grunts rocketed the building a few times, and then actually we saw a grunt company kind of patrolling through that open area where we came back out. We gathered up Dave and went back into our in that original building we crossed from, and kind of regathered up and ended up
Kind of reset.
yeah,
just
reset.
to see, where we at.
That's a good word for it. Reset. At that point, and I like to think this is significant because otherwise I wouldn't share it. So I didn't. My sniper rifle was shot. It had no zero anymore because it was thrown around.
M4 was done.
The M4 was done. I took a round through my magazine, ricochet off the barrel, and one through the gas tube. I think that's one of the pictures you have.
Oh, is that what that picture?
Yeah. If you zoom in, you can see it.
Catastrophic failure.
Yeah, so it's garbage. So they gave me Dave's weapon. That's all. I had no choice, So that was hard for me. I had to clean it off.
Yeah.
Obviously, the mess that was on it. That took me a while. But the cool thing about that was he had the same exact suppressed 203 M4 that I had.
Same setup. Yeah.
But he had a 203 grenade launcher under his.
Okay.
Which is good because I had 203s in my gear because I usually carried the M79 grenade launcher, the old Vietnam era grenade launcher.
Yeah.
You carry that separate from your M4?
We had two M79s grenade launchers, but we also had some guys had the attached ones.
Right. But you had two separate? Okay, got it. Okay.
The M79 was awesome.
Yeah.
Did you cut it down?
Yeah.
I did not, no. Absolutely. Way better than a 203.
Yeah, for sure.
The Vietnam guys used to call it the thumper.
Yeah, that's what we called it. Yeah.
Did you really?
Insanely accurate as compared to the 203, the mounted one. But I was able to engage and kill 3 guys with Dave's weapon. So that gave me a little bit of satisfaction.
Yeah.
A little bit of satisfaction
Yeah, I'm back in.
about getting his. I wasn't happy about having his, but I was glad I got his. I was using the 203, which is kind of cool.
Where was Dave from?
Dave's from Naperville. Eagle Scout from Naperville.
And you also got injured in that, and during that engagement,
I left that part out.
Oh yeah, that part.
That's what I was telling you.
It's crazy that I have to remind Brian that he got shot during this engagement. Right?
Oh yeah, when I got shot.
Yeah. That time I got shot. No. Yeah. You received your second Purple Heart during this engagement.
Yeah.
And what injuries did you sustain?
So this one was very minor, and
I got a left arm.
Left arm graze wound, and a shrapnel throughout like the.
Did your pack save you from a couple more rounds?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I took a couple
And
rounds.
rifle. And other rifle.
I took a couple rounds to the pack. I took either a shrapnel or a bullet round through the brim of my hat because I was cool. I got to wear a hat, so I wore a tan.
You weren't wearing a Kevlar helmet?
What?
Holy fuck.
Those Sergeant Majors are
Yeah,
there.
cool
We're
guys,
cool
man.
guys, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's another story I could share.
Bro.
So I was wearing a tan like Chicago Cubs hat. That's what I was. That's what I would wear.
Okay.
Nice.
'Cause I was
And
cool.
we'll post that picture because I have a picture of you wearing that. I'll post that on our.
I think there is one.
Yeah, I'll post that on our Facebook.
That was always what made me so jealous about guys like you two.
So
You know what I'm saying? Because I got the stupid Kevlar with the old school fucking...
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you're wearing whatever the fuck you want.
So
Sunglasses.
I feel like I have to tell it now, and I'll make it quick.
Yeah.
Because I'm jumping forward a lot. After I was one of the next time,
Yeah.
stay tuned. But I got medevaced, and I ended up coming back in, and I was wearing my hat. Now I was kind of hitchhiking. I was going from convoy to convoy, trying to make my way back into
Yeah.
Fallujah.
Oh, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
And all of a sudden, one time, this gunny starts lighting me up. Hey, Devil Dog, who the fuck do you think you are?
Come on. Yeah.
Well, I was in uniform. You don't do that in the Marine Corps. You don't fuck around with that. Like, and I let him finish. I was like, Gunny, whoa, Gunny. I'm sorry. I understand what you're doing and I respect it. I'm allowed to wear this. I'm with Second Force Recon, Task Force HVT, and before I even finished, oh, why didn't you say so? You're fine.
Joe,
do you
how
know
you doing?
Do you know Staff Sergeant so and so? I was his drill instructor. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, oh god. So now he's like, let me find you another convoy. We'll get you in the city faster. Blah, blah. So
Okay.
Yeah, so we're walking through, and then he walks in front of a tank, and then this captain jumps out of a tank. Who the fuck do you think you are walking in front of it? I'm like, yes! This guy's getting yelled at.
So, Brian, you make it through there, and then nothing really after that significant happens during the rest of that. You guys managed to get through the city there, or is there more badness that happens during this period here?
Nothing but badness.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Went from bad to worse here?
Well, that was 8 hours into Fallujah. The next 3 days were very heavy fighting, but we were extremely successful. To the point where we were like, I don't want to say, well, yeah, we were cocky, very confident.
Hammering through.
Yeah, there we could do no wrong. I mean, if we went in there, we had them. If they weren't in there, we found them. It was
Right.
nothing but success.
Because that happened November 9th.
Yeah.
Right? And so 3 days later, you have another significant engagement.
Yeah, November 11th.
Okay.
We got to a point where there was this like 4 or 5 story apartment complex right in the middle of the city. And we held up there. It was like I believe it was the tallest building in the city, and we had full view of everywhere. So we actually stopped. We held out there for a while, and the grunts started moving forward, doing their clearing.
Yeah.
Like I said before, the grunts cleared Fallujah. I want to make that perfectly clear. All right, we were support to the grunts.
Thank you for your service, Alfredo.
You're welcome. Maybe, I guess.
Yeah.
So we held up there because we had a very good view of everything. And I got to...
What's your crew? I'm sorry to interrupt.
We
What does
met
your
up-
crew look like now?
Right now, we have all 3 teams together.
Okay.
All 3
All right,
teams
so you're
met together.
consolidated.
It's that big of a building.
Sure.
Like
Wise, how many guys is it?
So we had 5 in about 18, 19 total
Okay,
with the
okay.
headquarters team.
Got it.
Okay.
Because we had Frisky, our aircraft air controller, combat controller,
Mhm.
forward air controller. He would call in all the air. We'd work up the missions,
Mhm.
and he'd give it to him because he knew all the pilots.
And
He
he
was a
was
pilot.
handling
He
Is
was a pilot.
Is he a Marine?
He is a Marine. He's
Okay.
a pilot.
Okay.
He flew Fat Albert for the Blue Angels, actually. That famous picture where Fat Albert's below the Golden Gate Bridge, that's him flying it, actually.
Shit.
No shit.
So he knows all the pilots by first name. So
Yeah.
there is no like Alpha Bravo 1-4. It's like, hey,
Right,
Jim, we
right.
want this building on the left side of this blue shack. Drop that one.
Just sidebar,
Yeah.
like fire department stuff. Do you guys find it easier when you go to a fire to just call somebody by their name instead of that bullshit of like engine 1A driver?
Well, it depends on what channel you're on. If you're on the fire ground, right? It's, hey, Jimmy, give me a letter.
It does happen
Okay.
more.
But
Okay.
if you're on like the main channel, you hear, hey, 45, 251 or whatever,
yeah.
Where I'm at, I'm in a position where I'm still a candidate in the house.
Okay.
I'm not saying anything. If they say something, even the Chiefs ask me something, I'll be like,
Right.
hey, Cap, Chief's asking this. I'm not saying anything unless it's emergency. That's a different story.
But you hear that on the radio all the time,
All
right?
the time.
You
All
hear
the
the the Chiefs talking
hey,
to the
Jimmy,
lieutenant.
take
Yeah.
this. Tony, yeah.
But when they go to the fire main, it's very official. It's more
Okay.
formal, and
which I like. I appreciate the difference. I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
Okay.
But then when they switch the fire ground, which is just like like point to point,
Yeah.
it's just like, hey, Jimmy, give me a ladder over here. Or, how are things inside?
Yeah.
So
'Cause-
it's both.
Like you were just talking about, I make that mistake all the time, probably because I've been trained just like you two have, where I'm like, hey, Jimmy, get that fucking, you know what I mean? Like, instead of like, engine 26 engineer, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
117X to yeah.
Right, yeah. That's awesome.
Mm.
So now you're
So yeah, we're at this building, and all we're doing is it's beautiful. There's a picture of it. It's Frisky with like 2 or 3 radios around him, and you see Fallujah burning. you see like headers all over, just buildings we dropped. Like, oh, we have 20 fighters just went into this building over here. Drop it. You know, he's just calling there. It's beautiful.
And by this time, you have a map with every building
Yeah.
numbered. And you just say building 121.
Right. Drop
grid,
it.
You drop on a grid, and they'll.
Yeah.
You know,
And we're- and we're sitting
I was
on-
going to ask that question, and I didn't want to sound like an idiot.
No.
But like, yeah, like so there were location-wise, like you guys had numbered all of these on your own like map.
I'm
You guys had
assuming so.
numbered
I don't
all
know
these.
for sure. Yeah.
Okay. And then when you guys would clear these buildings, like you would just call in like building whatever 127 was cleared.
It sounds like kind of cowboy. We did that from a larger level. And
Sure.
It seems kind of ad hoc the way you're explaining it. It's really, really organized. The big machine, like
For sure.
the big green machine, when it gets rolling, it's so cool to
Flawless.
see your tax dollars at work.
I'm telling
It
you,
is every dollar you spend in that.
That's what it's for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's unbelievably impressive
Yeah.
what these 18 and 19-year-old Lance Corporals can do. I'm telling you. I'm telling you,
Oh,
it's
yeah. No.
absolutely insane.
Huh.
I remember I was sitting in a mosque. Typical, kind of going off story, but remember I had my hat was shot.
Mhm.
I lost my hat, lost my rifle, and I'm in this mosque now. And all of a sudden, this Iraqi comes up to me. Iraqi National Guard guy comes up to me. He's holding my hat.
With an extra vent in it.
Like, because hey, they said this was yours. Hey, Chicago, what do you say? Cubbies win today. I got mad. Like, it's funny now.
You popped up though?
I'm like, give me my fucking hat. Like,
Yeah.
who the fuck are you? You know,
Right.
I'm mad.
Right.
I'm sitting there smoking, and he's like, hey, mister, no smoking, mask.
Right.
I'm like, oh, yeah, great. Remember,
Right. You're popped up.
you may not like what I have to say here tonight, but this is what it was at the time.
Right.
Okay?
I mean,
So
wartime, you're popped up.
I'm
Yeah.
smoking in a mosque. I'm sorry, it's your holy ground or whatever. So
Sure.
me being the ignorant Marine, I take my cigarette and I put it out on the carpet. You know,
Do you have this ball cap?
my son wears it every day.
God
Awesome.
damn.
That's so cool, bro.
yeah.
All your pictures. I want to see this fucking ball cap. Gubby head too?
It's deceiving. You got some sweat marks and it's got a real tiny pinhole in the.
Oh, that's awesome.
He doesn't. He doesn't know the
no,
significance of it.
yeah,
yet.
no, not at all.
Yeah.
Well, when he
What the
does,
fuck are
he,
you gonna do? You're like, hey, kid, let me tell you a story.
This hat, I lost this hat 3 times and it made its way back to me.
Holy shit!
Um,
Wow.
here I got a picture of it right here. Well, actually,
Did you get all this intel from April?
it's classified.
Because this is really detailed. I mean,
I did know. Like I told him, I'm like, I did my homework. Brian, you were telling us about the fact that you reunited with your hat, and that your son wears it every day.
yeah.
And someday he's going to learn the significance of that Cub hat. But okay. So now let's go to November 11th. All right. So, because this is going to be another time where, I mean, I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag.
Can I stop you?
You want to stop me?
I do. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Stop me.
Fuck him. What do you want to talk about, Brian?
It's my podcast. I will stop when I want.
It's small. It's small, but it was a significant moment for me. In that same mosque, we're sitting there in kind of a regrouping moment in Fallujah. It's kind of like a big building. Everyone's kind of getting all their ducks in a row.
Get your parents, yeah.
All the grunts kind of came in, and you could tell they were already kind of stretched in. They've been through some stuff. Like I said before, the grunts cleared Fallujah. I don't think I can make that any more clear than I already have.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I'll probably say it about 5 more times. And I'm sitting there, and I had this feeling. So this fucking guy gives me my hat back, and I give him the riot. And I get rid of him, and I'm sitting there, and I look to my left, and we're just kind of hanging out, and there's this grunt. I call him this kid, and the reality was I'm 19. I'm probably 20 years old at the time. This kid's probably 18 or 19.
18, yeah.
You know what I mean? But I'm
Hey,
this
kid.
I'm this Force Recon guy. I'm this guy that I saw in the porta potty 2 years ago. I'm the same fucking person. You know, just a different person with different kind of training. You know, it's completely insignificant. And this kid's looking at me like I'm something, and it really bugged me because I realized that I was that guy not even, I mean, literally a year and a half ago. And he was some kind of radio operator, and he looked at me and he held it. It sounds so stupid. I wish you could picture it, but he had this look on his face, and he looked at me and he was like, "These fucking batteries." And I knew what he meant because he had this pack full of batteries. It's fucking heavy. I was like, well, why don't you guys spread that out throughout the team? So you guys spread the weight, because nobody ever carries all the batteries. That sounds horrific. I mean, that's ridiculously heavy. You always spread out that stuff. He's like, oh, man. His team leader was sitting right next to him. And he's like, oh, okay. So they spread out the batteries, and this kid was
also a kid.
This kid looks at me. He's like, hey, thanks, man. You know, and I'm like,
thanks, me, Joe.
Yeah, right. You know, and it was kind of a surreal moment for me where it was like, did I really just do that 180 where I was like, I'm literally the same person as you, but you're looking at me like I'm not, and it really makes me uncomfortable. Like my buddy Jimmy got wounded, and he got medevaced and was hitchhiking back. And I remember him telling me a story where he was sitting in this, what do they call those big transport vehicles?
5 tons?
5 tons, thank you.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was, 5 ton. And the driver was like real hillbilly hick Marine, like stereotypical Marine. He's like, hey, man, I was going to give this to my wife, but I want to give it to you when he found out he was a Force Recon Marine. I want to give this to you. You promised me you'll kill somebody with this. And it was a tracer round. Like it was something like super cool. So Jimmy, Jimmy gave him one of our rounds, which was
customary.
Yeah, it looked different.
Yeah.
And Jimmy's like, he puts it in his magazine and put it in his round. He's like, no problem. I'll do it for you. You know what I mean? It was like those stupid, insignificant times where it's just like kind of puts you in your place. Like you understand the significance of the moment. You know,
well, it can't.
I wanted to put that in there because
it can't be insignificant if we're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's the
you're right.
of all these little moments like that.
And for his
nonsense, it sounds like a stupid, simple story, but it's not.
Well, yeah,
it's not. It's two different people's perspective on a single situation. It's just.
Well, there's some radio operator out there who's telling the story right now.
Yeah.
He's like,
this guy killed somebody.
I had to carry all these batteries until this
fucking
Force
salty
Recon
old
guy
dog fucking walked.
The guy had to
never
be 30.
Smile.
Never smile. He's putting out cigarettes on moss
I told
carpets.
him 10 jokes and he never
was so
laughed.
salty.
He had a hole in his hat. Looked like a bullet wound.
And for as nonsense as this podcast is, like this is, I mean, we're telling you to fucking summarize your service in fucking whatever.
Do you know
3 hours.
Yeah.
Like this is what sticks out, man.
What bugs me is I don't think you're talking about that kid telling the story, but I don't think that kid realizes that I'm looking up to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were that kid.
He's the one. He's the one clearing Fallujah.
Yeah,
not me.
Right, and with his childhood fucking innocence, you know,
and all his batteries,
and all those
shit ton of batteries.
with at least 50% of the batteries they start off with that day.
I know all the other guys are his team was like, who's this fucking guy?
We had our fucking battery jag off a couple minutes ago, and now we got to fucking.
I was expecting.
Call me AAA. Fucking.
Wants to be like, why are you caring? Just throw them out in the garbage.
Right, fuck those batteries. You don't do them shits away. Fucking.
So. We go to November 11th now. Are you ready to get there?
So this is, I'm right. I'm ready.
All right. I mean, this is only a couple days from...
This is, 2 days later.
Yeah, you just lost one of your buddies. You've also received another wound and you're going to receive your second Purple Heart at this point. And now we get to November 11th where, I'll spoil alert, you're going to wind up with number 3. And you're
still pretty shaken at this point, Bri, or you're? I have no time to be shaken.
No, I was. The thing with Dave, it wasn't Dave getting killed that shook me. It's part of the reason why I'm doing this whole thing, this whole podcast thing. I tend to actually handle these things very well. It's kind of a weird, I guess it's good, but it's a weird thing I have. Him getting killed didn't affect me as much as when I had to clean his weapon. That fucked me up.
I'll bet.
That was tough. All I had was baby wipes and toilet paper.
Yeah.
Clean his weapon. I actually ended up throwing the PEC 2, the laser rangefinder, the laser
Sight.
not sight.
PEQ2.
Help me out here. What is that?
It's a PEQ2.
Yeah.
It's a laser designator.
Yeah, it's a
IR.
IR. Thank you, Jesus. IR laser.
Okay.
I broke it. I got rid of it. I couldn't clean it. I was done with it.
Yeah.
That did a number on me, and it was close to that point where I was like, hey, you know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore.
Yeah. You don't have that.
So yeah, no, that definitely did a moment on me.
Did number on you.
Thank you. Number. On the 11th. Bear with me. I'm trying to keep this all in line.
No, that's all right. Well, I mean
it's only like 15 whiskeys.
We're
in it. It's all
at
right.
November 11th.
Yeah.
And
I was in a room, so I'm trying to paint the picture here. We're in a 4-story apartment building. Frisky's holding court in the center room over the whole city of Fallujah, just calling air, wreaking havoc, dropping any building we want. It was complete success.
Yeah, a lot of bricks are in the oven.
No, it was unbelievable. And we had 3 teams throughout the apartment building in different rooms, focusing on the city, glassing the city, watching the city to see any movement. If we saw mass movement in one area with weapons, we'd drop that building, stuff like that. We'd give the information to Frisky, he'd drop the building. While we're doing that, I was in a room talking to... my team room was on the far left. Frisky's in the middle. I'm in the room on the far right. Just with my time off, I'm talking to Tom Hauser. We're just kind of bullshitting. Actually talking about Frisky. I remember when he got attached to the platoon, we're like, who the fuck is this guy? We don't know him. He didn't go through the workup with us. Some pilot. Like, who the fuck is this guy?
Who's this fucking dick?
Yeah, he doesn't belong with us. And real quickly that we were put in our place. Not only does he belong with us, we were better for having him. Complete asset to the platoon. Oh, my God. It was a complete professional. And that's what we were talking about. And then all of a sudden, the entire building shook, a loud explosion. Rockets hit the building. And I started running. And I remember Tom goes, here, take my helmet. I'm like, what the fuck do I need that for?
I got my ball cap. The fuck is this?
I got my Cubs hat.
Right, I've got the lucky cap. I've got the lucky cap parade. Yeah.
I don't know if you know about his hat. So I go running down the hallway, and right when I get right in the middle where the stairs go up, there's a loud explosion, and RPG came through the doorway, because we're on the top floor, came through the doorway and hit the wall next to me, and the next thing I know, I'm on the ground facing the other direction, and I got blood pouring down the side of my face, and it was kind of sounds so cheesy because it sounds like it shouldn't be correct, but it's kind of like movies where it's quiet at first,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden the hearing comes back.
Yeah.
I guess they do a good job in the movies.
Right. Yeah. Just hear them.
And I hear Kenny going, Frank's hurt bad. And I look over, and I see Kenny dragging Frank down the stairs by his neck, by his drag strap, because it was 5 or 6 stairs going up, and I thought Frank's dead. The way he was completely out. So they pulled me aside. The medic was looking at me. They thought I was leaking cerebral spinal fluid from my ear, so they said I should get medevaced. So when I got medevaced, they got the AV came in, and Shep actually escorted me out and got me in the track. They took me back to Camp Fallujah, and I went to the offsite medical, whatever, the hospital.
Like a cash?
Yeah, kind of. They don't call it that, but yeah, I mean, that's what it is. They pulled out some shrapnel, did a couple x-rays, stitched it up, shaved like half my head. Obnoxiously. I always thought it was like a bit overkill. I mean, it's like an 1.5 inch scar. I don't know.
Is this guy fucking with me right
you
now?
don't give me a mohawk on one side. But, and I remember seeing there, and this is one of the main things I was concerned about doing this, was I'm going to talk about some stuff like my feelings and thoughts about this stuff. And I'm not, it is what it is. This is what I thought at the time.
Right.
Do I think it now?
That's your perspective.
Maybe, probably,
Right.
maybe, I don't know. But I walk out and there's this tent and there's 3 Iraqi wounded and they're like taped to this cot. And I can't help but think like, why the fuck am I in this tent with these guys? And I'm looking around like, I want to find a way to kill these 3 guys.
Right.
Like, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking, and I start walking over to one, and they're like, I don't know if they were sedated or sleeping or just stupid or what. I don't know what it was, but I'm looking, and I go to grab the IV on one of them, and then the guy was walking in. Like, I don't know what the fuck I was thinking I was going to do. Probably nothing. I don't know. Like, are you good to go? Like, I'm like, I don't know. Now I'm getting shitty. Now I'm like in a bad mood. I'm aggravated. I'm wounded. I'm like, what the fuck? What am I doing? What am I doing here? Like, what's going on? It's like, all right, your x-rays are negative. We got all the shrapnel out of your head. You're good to go. I'm like, where? I don't know. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to go? So I walk out of the tent, and all of a sudden I look over, and I see this kid. When I say kid, he was young, holding this handgun. And our handguns were very specific. They were Springfield or Colt 1911s. The rest of the Marine Corps has 9mm. They were very specific. And this one was even more specific because I saw the little figure on the pistol grip. It was an F it was initials, but it was like a decorative initials.
Yeah.
It was Frank. I walked up to the guy and I fucking snapped. I'm like, where the fuck did you get that? That's Frank's. You know, he's like, no. Like, he goes, oh, that's Frank's. I'm like, oh. I just wasn't ready for the answer. And he's like, no, he's inside. I'm like, inside where?
Yeah.
He's inside right there. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? If you knew Frank, like, if you met him 5 seconds ago, he'd be your best friend. You'd want to be his best friend. That's how he is. So that's exactly what happens. I'm like, what the fuck? I walk in and Frank's sitting there. What's up, bro? I'm like, this isn't happening right now.
Dude, I thought you were dead.
So what happened was he was right next to the RPG, but I caught the blast. He caught the concussion. He was knocked out. He wasn't hurt.
You took the brunt of that.
I took the blast area. He took the concussion. Or that's how we make sense of it in our head.
Yeah.
He never caught any shrapnel from it. But what happened was he was hanging the orange air panel for the medevac for my medevac, and he got shot in the leg.
No shit.
So we're looking. He's got a hole in his fucking shin, and I'm like, what is he? He goes, dude, I got shot, bro. I go, when? He goes, he's putting out the panel for you, that orange air panel. I'm like, what? I thought you were dead. He goes, no.
It was a little RPG blast. Come on.
He like catches a 17-year-old kid. He's like, hey, take my gun, like,
and walk out there to
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah, let's
with
go.
the
Let's go.
weed from his head.
yeah.
That's like telling the new guy to sit in the captain's seat at the table, right?
They won't mind. Sit at the head of the table.
This is the same guy I saw pick up a girl in the back of a squad car. So,
That's fair.
so the doctor comes in and he's like, okay, you're ready to go. So Frank stands up, and as he stands up, blood squirts from his leg. Like when I say squirts, I mean like a solid 5 feet from the little hole in his leg.
Yeah.
So I put my hand on it. I'm like, Doc?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, hold on.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. Oh, about that. So he gave us all this packing stuff, so he's got to like pack it from time to time. So they release us. We're both get ready to go. We have nowhere to go. Our whole platoon's in Fallujah. Fallujah's in high gear now.
Yeah.
So we start walking around, and like, we got to find a way to figure this out. Frank can't go back. He's on crutches.
Oh, he shot. Huh?
Yeah. He's shot in the leg. He's on crutches. His camis are cut just around the knee. Huge bandage. I have half my head shaved on the right side, with blood stained on my whole cami blouse. And we're walking around Camp Fallujah. He's on crutches, and I'm walking. And we see the chaplain from 2nd Recon Battalion. Like, I know this fucking guy. He looks at us like we're fucking zombies.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, guys, what's going on? I'm like, hey, sir, we're kind of looking for a place to stay for the night. Like, we're trying to figure out where to go. Right. He's like, I got a place for you. You know, you stay with 2nd Recon Battalion, blah, 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 no problem. I'm like, oh, me and Frank are both like, oh, thanks, sir. And he goes, would you mind if I said a prayer for you guys? And Frank, like, we look at each other and we're like, fuck it, why not?
It's not going to get worse. Like,
so we stopped there in the middle of Camp Fallujah. This guy says a prayer for us. We're like, hey, thanks, dude. Sure. Appreciate it. So he takes us back. We get a night's sleep. And then we walk in. I skipped the best
chow
part. I skipped it.
Just skipped the chow hall.
I'm glad I caught it. So before that, this might be kind of hard. We were hungry. You know, we were there for 5 days before Fallujah kicked off. Now it's like 3 days into it.
Right.
We're hungry. We're all fucked up. We're walking around Camp Fallujah. We don't have a place to stay yet. I'm going back before the chaplain now. Forgive me, please. Frank's like, I gotta eat, bro. Like, I don't know if that's a good idea, man. Look at us. He's like, what are I gonna do? Like, I don't want any attention. While we were going back and forth, I'm like, fuck it. Yeah. All right, go. The Marine Corps can get pimpy with the uniform stuff, and you never know where
really?
Big time.
Yeah, everywhere.
I mean,
no shit.
Yeah.
Everywhere. It's not just the Marine Corps.
So stupid.
Yeah. So we walk into this chow hall, Camp Fallujah, the main chow hall in Camp Fallujah. Me and Frank, and there's a couple hundred people in there, maybe, I don't know. It's like fucking Animal House when they walk into the bar. It's like music stops. Not a fucking, you can hear a pin drop. And everyone's looking at us. I'm like, dude, I told you. This is a bad idea. He's like, bro,
I'm hungry.
We're committed now. Fuck. He's on crutches. I'm holding both trays. We're walking in, and we're just looking at us like we're fucking zombies. Like, this is ridiculous. Right. We get our food. I couldn't even tell you what it was. We sit down, and I'm like, this is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. And Frank, like I said, no care in the world. Yeah. Like, could do no wrong. Teflon Frank. All of a sudden, this guy comes walking. It's this big black guy. Like, he looks tough. And he's got nothing but black on his collar, which means senior enlisted. Like, this guy means business.
Bad guy, yeah.
Comes walking up. And I'm like, fuck. I mean, we're going to get lifed out. Lifed out means like some guy's going to just start yelling at us for being out of uniform, looking like shit, you know. Right. He gets closer, and I see that he's a sergeant major, which is a senior enlisted rank. There's nothing higher than that. I don't know what he was. I don't know his name. I don't know what he was a sergeant major of. But he gets to us, and we're like, oh, here it comes. And he goes, I just want to let you guys know that I know who you are, and I know what unit you guys are with.
So this guy was looking after you guys.
Yeah. He said, I know who you are. I know what unit you're with. If you guys need anything, let me know.
It meant the fucking world to you.
Oh. Yeah, it did.
Because you're walking in, you're thinking you're going to get your fucking balls busted.
And we were never going to ask him for anything, you know.
Sure.
And he could have provided it, trust me. But it was just the fact that it happened was pretty significant. Yeah.
And he could have just as easily busted your balls, too.
Or he could have gave us a hard time, and it wouldn't have been above that position, you know. Right. He could have completely ignored it. He took the time. He knew. Hey, we look different. We do. Not besides the injuries. Yeah. The clothes we wear, we look different. The haircut. People know who we are, right? Yeah. It is what it is. That was pretty significant for him to take the time. So they, after that is when we ran into the chaplain, and we had the impromptu prayer. Crash night. Woke up in the morning, and we're talking to Frank. I'm like, what are we gonna do here? He's like, I go, let's go back. I'm like, dude, you can't go back.
He said that?
He can't go back.
Yeah.
He's on crutches. He can't walk. He's got a fucking hole in his leg. And I'm like, I'm going back. I was like, all right. So we look over to the command post, like the big, I call it regimental, I don't know, but regimental command post. And we walk in. Now, there's some, trying not to sound arrogant here, but like, we were a task force HVT. It's cool, you know, so we could get away with a little bit more. You don't just walk into the main command post of Operation Phantom Fury and start asking questions, you know what I mean?
So what the fuck is going on here?
So we walk in, and that's exactly how it went. Like, who the fuck are you? My name's Corporal Woznicki. I'm just trying to get back to my unit. What fucking unit is that? I'm like, Task Force HVT. As soon as I said that, it's like, come on in! Hey, come here, look at this board. See this white little post-it? This white little
this little pin.
Thumbtack.
This white little thumbtack. White little thumbtack. It says HVT on it. This is you guys. Right. This is the building you guys are in right now.
See this red one? This is Bob's wife. It's fucking crazy. Like, we're just busting balls.
But what are you guys looking for? I'm like, I'm trying to get back in the city. He's like, all right, well, we got a convoy leaving at this time, whatever. Okay, I'll be back here, you know. So I go back, and I had a hitchhike between like 2 or 3 convoys, and that's why I said the story earlier.
Why is that such a fucking thing?
Right?
Because when I got hurt and I got sent back to the green zone, the hospital in the green zone, dude, I had to find my own fucking way back to my unit. You know what I'm saying? So it was like,
I feel like this should be a thing.
I was just hanging out on the air, where the helicopters land, and I was like, hey, where you guys going? Oh, we're going to wherever.
Is there like a taxi or something?
Yeah, and it was like, you got room for another guy? Like, well, you got to lay on the litter, like, whatever. And then I would go to whatever fucking town, and I would be there for a day, and like, hey, is there anybody going to wherever the fuck we were? You know what I mean? Like, why did we have to hitchhike? It was such... Dude, it's crazy that we...
Danny's sitting over there like he had to hitchhike too.
Oh, yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
There's something really cool.
Dan had to hitchhike overseas. Like, are you guys going? Like, oh, no, UK's
really
fine.
Cool when these things first start and they haven't micromanaged. They haven't managed to fuck it up yet.
I know exactly where you're going with this.
They haven't managed to screw it up. And because we're used to the rules of everything. There's a
process. There's a fucking...
The PT belts, when you're just walking around. Nobody carries weapons around. They've micromanaged it because of other people's dumb decisions all the way down to this level. But when it first starts out, it's everybody's doing the best they can with what they have. Do you remember when we went down for the Blackhawks win? When we went down?
Yeah.
And we just drove down. We're like, there's like 10 ambulances. There's no way we're going to get a call. And they were gone in minutes. And we were like, and then we drove through and we're like going through the mob trying to get to this thing.
He's talking about when we went mutual aid to Chicago with the Lincolnwood ambulance for the Blackhawks.
Alfredo's down there going, P90X, bitches!
I was getting smashed.
So it's that same idea where you just do the best you can with what you got. You use your training, and it's the real military. It's the real deal. It's not all of that rigid organizational overbearing structure. It's the real deal. That's the reason you got in the fire service, the reason you got in the military in the first place. And that hitchhiking story is so common to everybody that it's where you would stay somewhere. Hey man, I'm trying to get back up to Camp Cobra. Do you mind if I stay here tonight? Yeah.
But it's so significant in the story, I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't tell you their names.
Yeah.
I can tell you I can tell you right now, if you were sitting in this room, I would recognize them.
Sure.
The guys I talked to, and I was obviously spoiled because I was, again, like, first world problems. I was the Force Recon Marine coming back.
You were that guy.
There was, in the Marine Corps, there's a lot of love or hate the recon community. You either love or hate the recon community. But the guys, I mean, everyone treated me awesome. Besides the one problem with the gunny, which is pretty funny, worked itself out. But typical Marines. I mean, they knew they were on a mission. I was on a mission, and we were working together. That's what's the best thing about the Marine Corps, and I'm sure the Army operates the same way. It's just guys working together. a little off the record, off the key. I mean, I'm sure I wasn't on their travel
You're on their
log,
manifest.
you know what I mean? You manifest
But it's also universal because you could tell this story.
I could have jumped on an Army convoy in a second and no problem whatsoever.
And you could also tell this story to your grandfather, and he would have a
Yeah,
similar one.
absolutely.
He would have
Good point.
He hitchhiked.
More so.
I guarantee it.
Yes, not a doubt.
At some point in time, he hitchhiked from Bastogne back to Foy. That did the same thing.
Yeah.
And
Dan's a little
they
older
have
than everyone else.
those experiences. Those experiences are universal throughout the military, and you'll hear them as you pass this down. There's some kid today that goes, "Yeah, man, I had to fucking hitchhike all the way from Syria all the way back. I had to take this cab." And it's the same thing. It's the same universality of that experience.
Yeah.
It's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Well,
So you took an Uber, and
how long did it take you to get back to your
About
guys?
a day and a half, maybe
Yeah.
2 days. Yeah.
And so you showed up there and
I showed up there with Mountain Dew and animal crackers.
Nice.
From the PX on Camp Fallujah for my guys.
you were the hero.
Oh, yeah, big time.
You didn't get any Newports?
Nobody's.
Oh my god!
This is the Marine Corps.
What? Was Rip It in yet?
Rip It. No.
Remember Rip It? Did you guys have that?
No.
You have it out by 117 for sure.
Rip
Any
It?
gas station.
What is it?
It's like the ghetto Red Bull.
Yeah.
Oh, is it? No,
Yeah.
I didn't even. Oh, I'm sure it's around there.
One of Ed
I had to look at
Froelic's
it for a
favorites.
second. Yeah.
My guy.
Yeah, we'll take another break. This episode is brought to you by Rescue One CBD. Go to rescue1cbd.com, and if you use the coupon code BRAVEST, you'll get 20% off their products. And again, it's 0.00%.
How many zeros, Vince?
That's a lot of zeros.
That's more than 2 zeros.
That is 3 zeros of percent of THC. It's a firefighter-owned business. They'll send you a drug test kit with it, and you can also scan the QR code because they make it in small batches, and you can actually track the batches of CBD oil. And I know, Danny, you were talking about that you love CBD oil. You've been using it.
I love it.
We're gonna get you a bottle of Rescue One CBD oil. And we also wanted to thank Lost Before Arrival for our intro music and outro music and our commercial music. Andrew Knock was kind enough to come in here and record those. He came in here with his guitar, and it was actually a really cool session. We had a couple drinks, and he laid down all these tracks that we use on pretty much everything on this podcast. So thank you, Andrew. You can find him on Facebook at Lost Before Arrival. And like always, if you guys don't go to our website, Steve will be mad. So Chicago's Bravest Stories.
And he studies professional wrestling, so
yeah,
you're going to be worried about this guy.
Yeah. So Rescue One CBD. Type in Bravest and go to rescue1CBD.com. And I mean, Dan, what do you like about CBD oil? I mean, you were raving about it. All those little aches and pains go away from me, and my sleep is ridiculous. Do you still have those ridiculous dreams?
Yes.
When you do see,
it's some nice
crazy,
dreams,
right?
Yeah.
It is like you wake up and it's like you've watched a 2-hour, like, colorful, vivid, ridiculous movie, and it's great. Like, I try to go back to sleep when I wake up because I'm like, this dream is too good.
Do you remember ephedrine, like the bodybuilding thing when everybody was on that?
Yeah.
And that was, for me, that was all horror movies. The ephedrine, whatever it did, whatever.
It was like watching fucking Rob Zombie's discography.
It was. I had some really bad ones, and then with the CBD, I do get the dreams. They're colorful, but they're not horror shows.
They're awesome.
It's nice dreams.
So this episode not brought to you by ephedrine.
Dan Traeder's dream is like.
No,
what happens in the streets?
They're the most random. Like, you would never put these things that happen in these CBD dreams, but you know, they do. I mean, the reason you're having those is because you're actually finally getting like really
absorbing
deep sleep.
some. Yeah,
it's awesome.
My wife and we've kind of discovered, and since we're no longer being tested, and we've kind of delved into that realm, not with the THC, but a lot with the CBD, and every night, and I'm not exaggerating, every night will be, we do like cupping or whatever. I'll do like rub the CBD on our shoulders, and we cupping across it.
This is gonna get real weird. I want to hear.
You know what cupping is?
I'm aware.
So we'll do the cupping, and then you do active cupping where you have the big ones and you suck it or you heat it up, and then you go across and it leaves big bruises. But it really helps.
It's a hickey is basically what it is. Yeah.
So I have bad knees, bad ankles, and I really use it a lot, especially on all that stuff. It's not a miracle. It's not going to take you from 10 down to 0, but it'll take 3 points off of that nagging, aching.
It's all the little tiny aches and pains that it's not going to fix those big aches.
Try it. It's good shit.
Yeah. So thanks again, Rescue One CBD. Rescue the number
really
one
looking forward to that.
CBD.com. So you make it back. Is anything significant that happens between then and January 3rd?
Oh boy.
Between then and January 3rd, no. But if you're talking about January 3rd, yes.
It's something, yeah. I mean,
so
that's a big one for you.
Very. It might have been the biggest, yeah.
Probably the most significant thing that happened to you during your military, right?
You're going to have to...
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We'll get there together.
You're going to have to bear with me on this one. This one's going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, that, we kind of saved this one for last, kind of work our way up. But,
well, it's just the kind of way it went.
Yeah.
So after Fallujah, after I got back after I hitchhiked back and got back to the company, there wasn't much more action for us. They were still in the building I was in when I got wounded.
Really?
Yeah.
And moved.
Well, we had such a good point of vantage, we didn't need to move further for the grunts to move further.
Yeah.
It was well enough into the operation where the city was ours.
Right.
We just
There's
had
no
to.
need
We
to
just
push
had
that.
to.
That was nice of them to leave that for you, huh?
Well, it was nice because that's really the turning point with me where I was, I don't want to say the down slope, but I was having a hard time.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
We did a couple more raids in the Fallujah area. We did a react for a kind of a famous raid, but that ended up not making it in there, so we're not going to talk about it. They ended up solving the problem before we got there.
But you just a lot of same shit, different day, sort of.
It actually was minimal in the Fallujah area after that. The majority of the battle was settled for us.
Yeah.
Once they pushed through the end of the city, the grunts still had to do the fine tuning.
Right.
But our job is our support area with the Overwatch and everything was done. The grunts still had their fucking hands full. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They weren't done. We were done.
Right.
They still had plenty of work left to do.
And you guys are Overwatch for these guys then?
We
Or
were
at this
up
point?
until then.
January,
Now it's about the time we're done, and now they've
So
gone.
things are wrapping up for you.
Fast through everything, and now they're fine tuning everything.
Okay.
At least that's my understanding of how the operation went.
Yeah.
And so what were you doing on January 3rd? Like,
So
were you leaving that building?
this is no, this is completely different. It's going to take a minute to explain. We were preparing for a raid for I'm not going to say the name.
For a target.
For a target, or I said there. We use Rocky terms. It was a number 4 target.
Ivan Drago.
It was not Ivan Drago.
Okay.
Good guess, though.
He obviously wasn't number 4.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah.
So you guys are gearing up to
So
go.
we had a raid going.
And this was going to be a nighttime
Nighttime raid.
Okay.
We only went out one time during the day, and that was
Didn't work out.
dumb.
Okay.
That's because we had to. The nighttime raid, go after the number 4 target, the number 4 HVT. We're en route. We're going. We're geared up. We're ready to hit the building. We got all the intel, all the briefs, and everything. We're going, and all of a sudden, we got a cell phone hit.
You guys on foot at this time?
No, we were
You
in
guys
vehicles
okay.
at the time. Humvees, up armored, some armored, some not. Mixture. We got a cell phone hit for a high-value target. As we're going, it's just literally like at the exact time we got this intel. Bear with me here. I'm trying to get the timeline right. We had the whole time we had unmanned aerial vehicles flying over us for not intel, camera for view. As we're getting this intel, we get the cell phone hit at this house in the middle of the we'll call it the Fallujah suburbs, outskirts, long rural area. Intel says that vehicles leave that building. Vehicles are coming towards us. This is changing everything.
I was going to say, you guys change gears then right away, or?
Everything changes.
Okay.
Initial mission's completely on hold. We're going for this building.
Intercept, yeah.
There's a little bit of delay. In my vehicle, these target vehicles pass us. Literally on this dirt road.
Oh shit.
This is how this is happening now.
Things moving, yeah.
All of a sudden, we're on the radio, like, brake vehicle, stop them. Like, to the point where they almost crash into them to stop them.
And how strong are you guys during this raid?
Maybe 5 vehicles. Let's say this is post.
15 guys?
That'd be generous because this is post Fallujah.
So
we lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in Fallujah. We're hurting.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'd say almost maybe 12. That'd be generous.
These vehicles are
this is small.
in. Yeah.
Okay.
This is small. The rear vehicles hit the target vehicles enough in time, thank God, and they get them. I don't remember how many guys, say 3 or 4.
Sure. Yeah.
Tie them up, throw them in the vehicle, keep heading towards the target. Remember, the target's in a rural area, so it's all desert around it. So imagine.
So they're going to know you're on the way. They're going to see you coming.
That's about to happen. So we stop far away, where we can't see it. We start coming in. Well, back then, the unmanned air vehicles weren't as advanced as now. So if you had an unmanned air vehicle flying over your scene, all you heard was a.
Oh shit! Yeah.
You hear that over the desert, you know something's up. And remember, this isn't Joe Schmo IED maker. We're going after high-value targets at the time. So we dump the vehicles, we start walking in, and they tell us there's, I don't remember the number, so I'm just going to say like 6 or 7. 6. We'll say 6. I don't remember for sure. 6 people outside with weapons. Game on.
Sure.
All right, this isn't bullshit now. We've already confirmed weapons. Everyone in this house is dying. Period. That's what we're walking into this. We're past that. Get a little closer. Still don't have the building in sight. Humming stops from the UAV, and all of a sudden they tell us everybody went inside. Fuck. That's not good.
This is gonna be a thing.
I'd much rather have them outside.
Oh yeah.
So start walking up. We get closer. We get regroup. We're right there now. We're getting ready for the hit, and it happens to us again, which I meant to share this story earlier, but we hit. We get ready to hit the building, and we go. We hit the prayer room. Prayer room is attached to the building, but there's only an exterior entrance. There's no way into the rest of the building from the room. Think of it from our firefighter aspect. That's a big deal. Big fucking deal.
One way in, one way out from there. Yeah.
And now we lost the element of surprise. So we come out. We come around the corner. We go in. Nobody in the first room. We make entrance in the second room. think it was Mike and Justin made it through. To the past the second room, and Tom made entrance and got shot.
This is
And then
Tom Hauser.
Tom Hauser.
Okay. Did you know he was hit?
Not yet.
Or you're too far back?
I'm like 6 or 7 man at this time.
Okay.
And this is where we get bogged down. We got 3 guys. Platoon commander, Ed. Platoon commander, Skipper. And platoon sergeant was Ed. And third guy, forgive me, I'm not going to sit here and struggle. I can't remember his name. He's standing in the doorway. We got bogged down, which is like textbook. You don't do. But it's what happened. So we couldn't get in the room. And they're shooting. There's targets in the room. They had a machine gun down, from what my understanding. They had a machine gun down the stairs in the room. And a couple shooters in the room. They threw a couple grenades as I was trying to get in.
The enemy?
Yeah. And Skipper and Gunny are shooting.
Full bore.
They're all all 3 of them are shooting. I don't know. I assume the other guys that are passed in the next room that are kind of stuck in there are shooting. I don't know for sure. And somehow something we got pushed back. So at the time, we got 2 guys stuck in a room past the shooters. Tom's down, and we're all out of the house. We pull out. We lost. I mean, there is no stopping when clearing a room. I mean, it's like water. You pour the water, and it flows through.
Wise. So you went into a room. That room was clear.
The first room.
The first room.
Yeah.
Then you went into another room, and you met fire.
Yeah.
And then you had to back all the way out of the house?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was
We
a couple
stopped
guys
in the
ahead of
first.
you, though, right?
We stopped in the first room.
Right.
But then they. Thank you.
As you were making your way into the second room, you got enemy fire, and then you had to back up all the way out of the house.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And you guys were cut off from those other guys that were inside, or
The 2 guys were in the room
that made
past
it
the
past?
shooter.
Yeah.
Those 2 guys made it in.
Still in the far room.
Got it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
This is where it gets really confusing. Please bear with me. I'm trying to get this in
There's
the
a lot
right
going on.
order. Couple grenades were thrown. Skipper was hit in the hand, shot in the hand. Gunny was hit in the stomach with shrapnel from the grenade. I'm mad. I'm trying to remember the other guy's name. I can't fucking believe it.
It'll come to you.
Chad got shot in the helmet, actually, right next to his eyes. The little push out for the ears. He got shot in the helmet.
With a fucking...
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know where it bumps out for your
Yeah,
ears?
where the damn
Flange.
headphones go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we dragged them all out in that first room. I started throwing hand grenades in. We pulled them out of the building.
How big is this room that the enemy's in right now?
The first room was probably like
a residential bedroom?
No, God, no.
Even smaller than that?
Smaller. First room was maybe 8 by 8. No. 6 by 8. Second room was probably... Second room we call it residential, 10 by 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just wide. There's no closets.
There's
or
no
anything.
furniture, there's no
These guys are
closets.
just standing in there. That's where they got caught in that position, and they're just...
Just got caught, yeah.
You got them cornered, and they're just shooting their way out.
Yeah. They were just waiting for us. They knew we were coming. They heard the UAV. I mean, so we're out. We're around the corner. We're treating Gunny. Skipper's okay, even though he's shot in the hand. He's managing himself. Gunny's hurt bad. He's got some big shrapnel in his stomach. And we're packaging him up, and we go to lift him up, and I lift the the litter, like the tarp thing to lift him.
Yeah.
And I don't know who I was. Might have been Shep. I don't know. Lifts the strap on his shoulder instead of the litter. Like he was wrong. So we go to lift him and he twists the fuck out of him.
Oh, Jesus.
And does he motherfuck us. He gets up when he walks. Fuck you guys.
Fuck you, idiots.
Oh, yeah. I go back to getting on the stack because John Boy, we call him Billy, is holding rear security. And I know. And as he's doing that, we see an M4 stick out from the door and start shooting. And for some reason, it made sense to me. I thought it was Tom's.
You thought it was Tom shooting?
Tom, no.
Or you thought that one of the Iraqis took his
I thought
weapon?
Tom was dead. I thought it was enemy shooting using Tom's weapon, which is actually pretty significant because that could pierce any armor we have. John Boy grabs the muzzle as he's shooting, and he's like, "Wow, it's frag him." I was like, "Oh fuck, I don't want to do that." That sounds like I did. I pulled out probably one of the most scared I've ever been. I pulled out a grenade, and I pulled the pin, and I actually milked it. And you talk about it. You say you can't train with it.
What was your count?
I don't fucking know. One. I couldn't tell you. I'd be lying. I'd be lying if I gave you a number. I probably 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But
Welcome to how Traeder has most recent child. Ooh, deep cut.
1001, 1002.
Actually, you say that reminded me of my first jump story. Jump school story, I'll tell you that. But so I milk it, and I throw it in there, and it goes off, and I think I remember the rifle coming with Billy, John Boy. Well, I hope that worked. I hope I didn't hurt Tom. But we spread out and talked about making re-entry. So this is where it gets kind of confusing. We had detainees from when we hit the vehicles,
Right.
coming in their original route.
Yeah.
So I didn't even realize the 2 guys were still in there. 2 guys alive.
Yeah.
Tom was hit. We didn't know what his status was. I'm pulled back. At this point, we've pulled Gunny and Skipper to the medevac vehicle. We've called in air. I always get a kick out of this because we call in air. It was like, is the LZ clear? Sure.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, it's clear.
Give it a go.
I want my guys
I
out of
have
here.
so many stories about that.
I'm sure you do. You being a medic?
I have so many stories about that.
I want
That's
my guys
amazing.
out of here now. It's been clear for fucking 12 hours. I don't care.
Yeah, there's children playing out there. It's fine.
So, Jimmy.
Until you come flying in, you motherfuckers!
Exactly.
Jimmy set up the landing zone. Fucking textbook. Jimmy, flat out fucking hero, gunslinger. He set up the landing zone. Some way I found myself in the vehicle, in the Humvee, with the Skipper and the Gunny. I was kind of like pissed. I'm like, oh, fuck, I get stuck with this. We still got stuff going on in the house. And they're talking to me. And it's kind of small talk, they're hurt bad. At this point, this isn't no go back to Fallujah, take a day and come back.
Right.
These guys are going home. This is my platoon commander and my platoon sergeant. This is our 2 bosses. This is extremely significant. And my platoon commander asked me, he goes, hey, make sure you go in my Foot Locker he grabbed the book and the pictures of my wife out.
That's fair. That's
Clear
that's
my
fair.
browser history.
Right.
Grab the pictures of my wife and don't let anybody else see them. Like, no problem. So at this time, something happens. I'm gonna choose my words very carefully. I'm treating Gunny and Skipper, and the rest of my platoon, which I agree with completely, grab the detainees that we already had in our custody and enter the building. To worst case scenario, if they have to discuss a trade, like kind of let us get time out.
Sure. Yeah.
Something happened where it didn't work out too well, and they got into another firefight. When that happened, I was in the vehicle with Gunny and Skipper, and I heard. Think about what we talked about earlier. I heard a bunch of rounds go off. Somebody hot mic'd, like on the fire ground.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking about?
Yeah.
A bunch of rounds go off, and I heard somebody say, "Ow." Like, fuck. Somebody else just got hit. I'm like sick to my stomach. Comes out. They get Tom out. Get everybody out. Bring Tom to the medevac vehicle. We load up everybody. Tom's passed. And we end up backing up, and we dropping a 500-pound bomb on the building, which pisses me off because we found out there's like $1 million American cash in there afterwards. But
how'd you get the two guys that were?
After that second contact, they ran out. So we come home. There were still a couple detainees left. We lost a couple detainees. And we get back. And for some reason, I'm not sure why it happened. I was the first one back in the tent. And a couple of the not rear guys, because I don't want to insult them, but like the guys attached to our platoon and headquarters and stuff like that were in our platoon, were in our tent. Guys. Support guys, yeah. And they were looking at me like, I mean, they heard everything on the radio. They knew what the fuck was going on. And I walk in, and I wanted nothing to do with what was going on because out in front with the detainees, because it might have went a different direction. But I come in, and I sit down, and I throw my shit down, and I'm just sitting there thinking. Now, we lost Tom. Skipper's going home. Gunny's going home. Thank God we had Ed our company Gunny. His best friend was kind of like with us all along. We had another Gunny with us, picked up right where we left off.
Jumped right in. Yeah.
Best friends, like they were like literally we never skipped a beat. We literally lost our entire command structure that night. And I'm sitting there, I'm fucking like seeing red.
Yeah, you're over it.
Shep walks in. Shep's got the cot next to me, and Dan knows my Shep stories, and it's not gonna hit home yet because I haven't told so many Shep stories. But the significance of this human being is unreal. He sits down next to me, and he looks at me, and he's like, he's like thinking. He's thinking really hard. If you knew Shep, he's not.
He's not a thinker.
Not a thinker. He's a doer. Shep is a straight up gunfighter. I envy him to so many levels. I look at him, he's like struggling with something. I'm like, fuck, this guy's not okay.
Yeah.
Are you okay? I was like, no. He goes, did you hear that? I'm like, what are you talking about? It's like, somebody said, ow. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I did hear that. Somebody hot mic'd. I did. I thought that was one of you guys getting hit. He goes, goes, yeah, I know. He goes, this is the same thing Nate said on the roof from Fallujah. I'm like, yeah, I know. That's what I thought. Like, what the fuck? He's like, huh. He's like, no, that was the guy I lit up. I shot the shit out of some guy with my saw, his machine gun. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Huh. Maybe we're not that different. And he gets up and walks away. I'm like, this sick motherfucker.
Sir, aye story. Aye.
Yeah.
He's got a.
The whole time he set me up. He took the advantage of the significant situation and he set me up.
Yeah, he saw you fucking.
Hook, line, and
he
sinker.
saw you and needed to reset it.
And that would carry more weight if I shared 20 other chef stories before this, but
no,
We get it.
yeah, absolutely,
God.
yeah.
but yeah, so that was a tough night, for sure. The thing about Tom was, so here's the difference between Tom and Dave. When Dave Hauser was killed, Dave was a textbook Marine. Like
Dave Caruso.
Textbook Marine. Like literally by the book. Completely professional.
Squared away.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Like he would drink, not to excess. Not like your stereotypical Marine, you know.
Not like we're doing right now.
No,
Yeah.
no,
I said textbook, not stereotypical.
Gotcha.
Completely successful. He's the guy that when we were in Iraq, he literally wrote to every single NFL team and asked them about their lifting regimen, their workout regimen.
Huh.
Every single team in the NFL responded,
No shit.
Come on.
except for the Bears.
Get the fuck.
Really?
That's fair.
Man.
And it killed him because he's from Naperville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First time we talked, he said he was from Chicago. I said, oh, where at? He said Naperville. I said, oh, no.
You're not from Chicago.
It was, don't start that shit. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay.
All right.
You're going to win this fight.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean.
They called him the Machine for a reason. That was his nickname. I was not going to pick a fight with him.
Yeah.
Completely professional, squared away, solid. Tom Hauser was different. He wasn't your textbook Marine by any means. The way I explain Tom Hauser is I can be in a room and I feel like I can act like I belong. I don't care if it's, try not to be too crazy here. I get be in a room full of black guys, white guys, Hispanic guys, Jewish guys, gay, straight. I don't care what you are, what you believe in. I feel like I can fit in.
Sure.
But I'm faking it. I'm not real. Tom would walk in a room and everybody would be his best friend. And it was real. That's why Tom's was so hard.
Hit you.
And so Tom was one of your close buddies in the Marine Corps, right? Like you and Tom were.
Yeah, I think personality-wise, I was more like Dave.
Yeah.
But I was more,
Tom
I
was
guess,
your guy.
friends, yeah, with Tom. The way I like to explain Tom is two things. And this is not supposed to be a negative thing whatsoever. He could literally down a bottle of James Beam in one chug. Zero. Like, that is a fact. There's no, there's no buffer there. There's I've seen.
Period.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, I want people to understand the significance of Tom Hauser to you because your son, right?
Yeah.
Whose name is Tom.
Yeah.
And I mean, it kind of shows the significance of what Tom meant to you. And,
Yeah.
you know, you guys.
And that was a really hard choice between Tom and Dave. I mean, if I put it down on paper, I'm probably in the 40s about how many guys I've known that have passed. I'm sure these guys are close to the same thing. But it came down to Tom and Dave just because the connection I had with them. Like I said, I was more like Dave, but the significance of the personality with Tom, I joke about the drinking with Tom. That's just for fun. I just envied how his personality really just carried a room.
I feel like Tom is the guy that we all aspire to be. But you're never gonna be that guy. You know what I'm saying?
And it's so easy to put this on guys that have passed and been killed in action, and it happens so often now, and it upsets me. But it's so true for this instance.
Yeah.
It bugs. It just I don't know. It's hard to put into words. And he's, as much as a goofball Tom was, he's a fucking thinker. And I've been lucky enough to think with him. Like, he'd come to my room and say something like, hey, like, as much as a goofball he was, I'd be like, hey, it's my girlfriend's birthday. All right. What do you do? I don't know. I was thinking something simple. Like, what? He goes, well, I was going to rent a limo and do a 70s night and go to the strip clubs. Whoa. He just lived for the now. Like, but he can. I mean, it's. I hope I'm explaining it good enough, because he's not just some beer drinking strip club going guy.
Believe me, Brian.
He literally walked in the room and owned it.
Yeah, no.
And I figure the way what finally gave me the choice to name my son Tom instead of Dave was, and that was a struggle in itself. Like, how do you pick one or the other?
Yeah.
Right.
And I could pick Fribley, Klein. Yeah, it's so many different names I could pick.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Was just the fact, one, that I thought I was more like Dave, and two, I figure if he could be a quarter or half what Tom was, I consider him a success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, man, I can't tell you how awesome it is to have you share that with us. I mean, I've never met the guy, but he sounds like a guy I would love to sit down like we're doing right now.
Oh God.
Have a glass of whiskey and shoot the shit,
Or a bottle. Where's Tom out of? Where's Tom from?
He's from Iowa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. West coast of Iowa. Council Bluffs, Iowa.
Okay.
It's right on the border of Nebraska.
What's your best story of Tom?
Best story of Tom?
Yeah. Come on.
Probably.
That you don't mind talking about.
No, I told Vince I had a real struggle with doing this whole thing, and I knew why. But I told him the one rule if I do it, the one rule I'm going to have is nothing's off limits. So if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right.
Sure.
Honestly, two things. It's going to be tough.
Oh.
That night when he wanted to do a party for his girlfriend, the 70s party, 70s theme, where you want to rent a limo and go. I mean, you're talking about Jacksonville, North Carolina. This isn't like high-end strip club.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's just a genius. Pure genius. No, my favorite memory about Tom is that raid. I was in the same vehicle as him. Coincidence, because we weren't in the same team. And we just looked at it. You ready? You ready? And we just did like the cheesy knuckles,
fist bump,
fist bump knuckles thing, And it wasn't till after we're in the vehicles returning. We already dropped the building, everything's over. And I got on the radio and I said, hey, we have and I was in armored. I was in a heavy armored vehicles. Not all of our vehicles were armored at the time.
Right.
I goes, hey, we have a open seat in the armored vehicle. And I realized what I just fucking said.
Yeah.
On the radio. It's like, fuck.
Shit.
But the raid with Tom and the party for his girlfriend were probably my two best ones.
Yeah.
Danny, you lose anybody too? Do you have
yeah.
anybody
Oh,
close
boy.
to you?
Yeah. Interesting thing that Woz brought up, and I think that I've had similar things where the Fracker and Fleischer were great guys, and I was an old guy. If you saw pictures of me, I had gray beard, and I was an old man at the time, and they were kids. We call them the kids. There was one guy, I didn't know him as well as I would have liked to know him. His last name was Fernandez, and he was the fat kid that could. Every unit has a fat kid that could.
Yeah.
And Fern was that guy.
I was that fat kid. No, fuck right. I mean, kind of. Yeah.
And he was the guy that when we talked to his family and we talked to his friends and everybody, when everybody talks about him, remembers him, he was the big guy in basic training that came in. He's Hawaiian, so he was
Sure.
6'3",
just a beefy kid.
270 pounds. He was a big guy.
Yeah.
And he was right at the very end of the PT run, but he still made it.
Yeah.
He was just barely past a PT test. He lost 60 pounds in basic training, and he helped other guys to do it. He was and when he died trying to save somebody else. And the thing with him is he was a better man than a lot of the guys that died. He was a better man than me.
Because of how far he had come.
And how he lived.
Right.
He was a genuinely good guy.
Right.
And there's other guys that are good guys, and they
embody what a good
like
dude is.
Gary Vasquez died a year after I gotten out. When I was in medic school, I went to his wake and funeral, and he was a good guy, but he was a cool guy, tatted up. He was a really good jiu-jitsu fighter. He could be an a-hole.
Yeah.
But, he was
It's fun to hang out with.
Yes.
And
But Fern was the other end. He was always a genuinely nice guy. That nobody said a bad thing about him. He helped everybody. He made everybody
clothes
better.
off his back.
Made everybody better around him. And his loss hit the team harder than anyone's. It hit it harder than anyone's. I had really different experience. I went to Afghanistan first. While Woz was doing all this in the first part of the war.
Oh.
The team that I first was assigned to was Operational Detachment Alpha 391. And they were in an area called Debeka Pass, and it was a famous battle. And a regiment of Iraqi Republican Guard charged at this area, and they had elevated ground. They were about 3,000 meters out, and they had superior firepower. They had javelins, and they had 50s, and they held off an Iraqi tank regiment for 3 days with javelins and 50s. And
Jesus Christ.
without losing a guy. So they were at the time they were Kurds. They were called the Peshmerga, and they had Peshmerga support behind them. And an A-10 went over and bombed their Peshmerga, and strafed them. They killed 30, I don't know the exact number, 30, 40 guys.
Sure.
And so they didn't lose an American in that fight, and they lost 30 Peshmerga from friendly fire. So that was.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to give it a lot of negative press to the A-10.
Right. Let's just say plane.
Plane.
Yeah, just
No, I'm very specific because when we go up to Wisconsin, my son sees one on the left side of the
yeah.
Volo.
And he goes, Dad, is that the plane that shot you in the butt?
That's awesome.
The fact that he knows that blows my mind. But don't get me wrong, A-10 has saved thousands, if not millions not millions, thousands and thousands of Marines and Army and soldiers and airmen, everything.
Sure. Yeah.
So anytime you do close air support, it's one thing if you're flying over a target and dropping bombs on it. When you're doing close air support, you're designated. It is, look at the term. You're close to the ground. You're close to the ground troops. So it's a very hazardous area. So I don't want to just completely be negative about that. You asked me 10 years ago, I might have had a different opinion.
Yeah.
But that's just, I wanted to throw that in there. You
So-
disagree with me if you want.
So, no, I don't disagree. So this group of guys, they came out of that battle. They were all awarded Silver Stars. They sat in on, they were in the president's box or somehow at the State of the Union address in 04, 03, whatever it was, the next year, whatever.
God bless him.
And so then here comes young Dan with his dog. Hi, guys.
Younger.
So I literally fell in with these like grizzled, bearded, and they'd all been with each other. They'd been through the war, and they took me in and enveloped me.
Yeah.
And it was the most amazing thing.
I bet.
And it was so
To
cool.
have that knowledge,
to be-
that experience, to
Because I looked up to them like they're,
Right.
and they were like, man, fuck, come on.
right,
And-
right.
And that same experience you did, hey, come on in. Where were you at? Oh, I was second bad. Oh, you're a bad boy. And they right away fit right in.
Can I interrupt you again? You always hear a lot about the Marine Corps, Army, all that bullshit, blah, blah, blah. I already talked about it already. Moose Seeley, Mike Seeley, my platoon commander in the Grunts. Like, I think I don't know if I said it while we were recording or not. Probably the most significant male in my life.
Wow.
Yeah, that's significant.
Yeah.
He flat out said, he goes, the most significant, the best courses he took in the military were Marine Corps Scout Sniper School and Army Ranger School. Now, we're talking about a man that was a recon Marine. That means he went through recon school. So the fact that he went through Ranger School, he wore the tab.
Inside of his...
Underneath you can't wear the Ranger tab on a Marine Corps uniform.
Oh, really?
You can't. It's not allowed.
Oh.
It's not an option.
Yeah.
He wore it, and he's not the uniform Nazi kind
Rage
of guy.
against
He's
the-
That was common practice that they put it under the
Marines
like,
do.
Yeah.
Marines do because
Marines
you
stitch
can't
it
wear them
upside down. so they
because
can-
the Marines
Oh, just like a little ID badge.
the
Here you go.
Marines respect the Ranger School that much. So that's coming. I'm telling you, that's coming from a guy that went through recon school. Said Marine Corps Sniper School and Army Ranger School were the best courses he ever been to.
What about you, Alfredo?
Just like you were talking about, you lost a guy and you lost a guy. My buddy, I call him my buddy Wit, but I really didn't even know him that well. I don't remember if we got there April 22nd or if we pushed out to Baghdad April 22nd, but it was the same damn day that I joined the Army, April 22nd, April 23rd.
That's how
whatever
you
it was.
remember the day.
Yeah. So I joined up April 22nd, April 23rd, whatever and then we pushed out or we got to Kuwait the same day, whatever. And we made it a year, and I thought we were done, and we got extended 3 more months. So April 22nd, April 23rd, hey, Caballero, you're going on a convoy with these fucking guys from wherever to wherever. Fuck. All right, fine. So I go, and Wit is the driver of the Humvee that I'm going to be in. And we're just escorting vehicles to some other fucking camp that got supplies, whatever. And our Humvee gets T-boned. It was like a friendly vehicle. Our Humvee gets T-boned on a bridge. And we spin out.
Got T-bone from a friendly.
Yeah. Wow. So we were on a bridge and we were staggered. And I think the 18-wheeler that was behind us like spun out and hit us and spun us out and then T-boned us. And we spun out on the bridge. We ended up on the edge of the bridge. And I was knocked out. I don't remember what the hell happened. But Wit was the driver. He ended up smashing his face on the steering wheel, opened up his door, fell into the river, ended up drowning. Oh. Yeah. So Wit dies. The gunner breaks a bunch of ribs, punctures a lung. He goes home. The TC breaks his shoulder, his elbow, whatever. He goes home. I separate my shoulder. I tear up my knee. I fuck up my back. They send me back.
You're fine.
Right?
Dude,
and this is what I was telling you.
Are you gonna like keep on crying about this? Are you gonna, like, get back?
So are you gonna make this a
no,
thing?
it's fine.
or-
It's fine. I'm
This
good.
is what I was telling you, right? I get sent back to the green zone, and thankfully, we had this First Sergeant Riles. He was our first sergeant on our company for when we were back in the rear at Fort Polk. He was our first sergeant for like 3 months, and he was so squared away. Like, you knew this guy was so squared away that they were going to pick him up to Sergeant Major. So I was like, he's only going to be here for a little while. Somebody's going to fucking snatch this guy up. Like, he was that fucking guy. And sure enough, 3 months later, they snatched him up, they promoted him to Sergeant Major, and he was fucking gone. So I'm at the green zone in Baghdad after I go to the hospital, and they do the x-rays and whatever. And they cut my pants apart, right, because my leg is bleeding, because my knee's fucked up. They cut my top apart because my shoulder separated. They put it in a sling. They checked on my back, whatever. They released me from the ER. They're like, hey, go to this tent, medical holding, whatever. And I'm walking down the hall with this crutch, and I hear, Caballero, is that you motherfucker? And I turn around, and it's First Sergeant Riles. He's now Command Sergeant Major Riles, right? What are you fucking doing here? And I'm like, oh, man, I got hurt, blah, blah, blah. He's like, come with me, man. He gets me a whole new uniform. It doesn't have any tags on it or whatever. He's like, come hang out with me every day to do the rounds and then, like, figure out how you're going to get back to your camp. Cool. So for the next 3 days, I just hang out with him. You know what I mean? We're just bullshitting. You know, we go to the chow hall. We're first in line because he's a sergeant major.
Like, fuck these poor people behind.
Yeah, right to the front of the line.
I wonder what all the poor people
Like,
are
fucking, you're like muffin people as they fucking.
Dude takes care of me for 3 days, man, and finally I catch a couple rides. I make it back to my camp, you know, whatever. But I got Whit's name, you know, tattooed on me because even though I didn't know the guy, I feel like whatever the hell he did after we got hit by that truck, he saved the rest of us somehow. You know what I'm saying? Whatever he fucking did to keep that vehicle on the bridge so we didn't all go over.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
And
right on.
So how long were you in?
I did 4 active and then 6 in the National Guard. So around 11.
Did you ever get deployed with the National Guard?
To Guatemala, but but that wasn't a real deployment. That was a fucking vacation.
I got you.
I remember the stories that they. Those were cool shirts.
Yeah, those were
I was very close. The only thing that really held me back was the fact the rumors of the Chicago Fire Department having a test, because that was my end goal all along. I was very, very close, and I can't underestimate that enough, to re-enlisting, going to the Navy and being a corpsman.
Yeah.
I had it set up where I could have done the recon corpsman. I could have done the 18 Delta course and went right to the second force and done the recon corpsman.
And so
I was very, very close to that.
The other crazy thing is that I was before we got deployed, I wanted to go 18 Delta with the 160th, right? The helicopter.
I remember when you were in Lincolnwood, we were talking about that.
The helicopter Special Forces Aviation Regiment. So I was trying to be a Special Forces, flight medic, and I was all ready to go. And then my unit got put on alert to deploy to Iraq. So that all went to shit. And it was like, so we got extended in April. So it was March, and the guy, I had a contact at the 160th, and he's like, yeah, man, as soon as you get back, we'll send you to Jun School, selection, blah, 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 all this shit, ready to go. And I got hurt, and he's like, I call him. He's like, can you do push-ups and this and that? I'm like, I can't do shit. My arm is fucked up. My back is fucked up. Oh, just re-enlist and we'll get you back in. Like, fuck you, man. I'm not re-enlisted for the regular army. Get the fuck out of here. Sucker. But I do think about, like, how my life would be different if that hadn't happened. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't be here, but who knows what it would have.
All the time.
Did you always want to get in the fire service? Or is that something you got the bug after your military?
Yeah, so once I became a medic, I was like, I like this, taking care of people. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then I went to medic school, and I rode with Chicago, and being around the guys and being around the ambulance, especially I was on the west side, 15, I think it was, or 10.
My house, yeah.
Yeah, those guys were so fucking cool. I was like, they were all so cool. They're like
precept, or who is your
You're Jay?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
You had JG. You had the best of the best.
Yeah,
man.
You can't beat that.
And
you legit had the best. And
you had Adam, right?
Jay and Adam.
Oh, jeez.
That's who it was. Jay and Adam.
Yin and yang.
And
Two of the best right there.
I was at that house and the guys are cleaning.
That's
and
where I'm
doing all this
assigned.
bullshit, and I'm like, hey man, I'm trying to help clean the bathrooms. Like, kid, go study. Get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? And we were the first in line to eat. A couple of times we would pull up on the apron and they would just hand us like 8 plates of food and they're like, go eat at whatever fucking hospital you end up at. And I was like, these guys are so fucking cool. That's where I got the bug to be.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had like mutual family friends, like friends of mine's parents were assigned there, and I used to go visit to 117.
Yeah.
And pure matter of facts and coincidences, that's where I got assigned there. Like I couldn't believe that when that was on the list of places for me to pick. I was like, holy fuck! I used to go visit there as a kid.
Yeah.
Well, did you get a pick because of your academic award?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
But like for Woz to get academic award for
because you're
firefighting,
dumb, right?
So,
is that what he's trying to say? What the fuck is this?
If you want, hold on. If you want to talk about this, we can talk about it. Because there was more to this than you think.
I want to hear it. I think
right.
I think the world wants to hear it, Brad.
The world.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take from you, but
No, you're good.
I know.
I'm not sure how we segued into this, but back when I went to recon school, remember we were talking about Alex, the older guy, the tough guy that I always look up to. Say 32, going through recon school, smoked me in everything. He not only did he smoke me in anything PT, anything knowledge wise, any test we had, he would get 100, and if he didn't, he would argue it, and he would get it changed. Holy fuck! I mean, this guy's amazing. This is a guy I went through RIP with. I passed the screening, the interview, and everything. Went to recon school for, and I'm like, this fucking guy. I look up to him. He's fucking great. He's a big guy, huge guy, tattoos, nicest guy in the world. Looks like the toughest guy in the world, nicest guy in the world. He would argue with the instructors in the grading. Like, what about this and this? And he would get it changed, and it fucking fascinated me. So, between that and reading a book, Boyd, about an Air Force pilot, who the Marines kind of adopted as one of their own because of the way he thought the Marine Corps way. He talks about when he taught in the Air Force, what they called Top Gun, but the Air Force version. There's a guy that went through and actually graduated with 100%. Like, those are my two goals between Boyd story in his book and the story from my recon school. I'm like, I wanted to do as best as I could. Like, I'm trying not to sound arrogant because it's really not that way at all. I felt like I was kind of successful accomplishing some things. Like in the Marine Corps, again, it was right place, right time, right people. I was able to accomplish it, be successful with a certain thing. And I struggle there at times, don't get me wrong. But I had never accomplished anything academically. And it was kind of a big thing to me because everybody I look up to was successful academically. Everybody.
So when you crossed over, you were
Lieutenant Seeley in the Grunts. Alex, I'm not gonna say his last. Alex Wirtz in recon school. Tom, Missouri. River Grove.
Missouri is fucking awesome, dude.
All the guys I look up to are smart. Yeah. And I always said, there's always been a joke in my family where I was a do nothing and get a C student growing up. And through further looking into it, I realized I was do nothing and get a D student. But I always thought I could be smart. Never chose to be, and it always bugged me. It was kind of like a big running joke mostly with my mom and me. And I decided, like, I want to go for it. Like, I don't want to go for it just for the award. Like, when I crossed over from medic, I was a single role medic, and I crossed over with the fire academy. if you get the highest academic award, you get to pick your spot. Right. So I was going for that, for sure. Yeah. You'd be a fool not to. So I thought that was my time to go. So many. I mean, I could take this from so many different directions. I studied before I ever crossed over. I ended up taking the driving position for Fred Schomer at 4411. I didn't want it.
Well, let's go back to because I just wanted to touch base. I mean, we don't have to spend too much time here, but because it's significant to you and I.
Yeah.
You got called for the city. You wanted to go to Chicago.
Yeah, we need to back up, don't we?
It's all right. Well, I mean, you got called for the city as a single role paramedic. You go to the paramedic academy, but what I think is significant is you didn't go to the paramedic academy alone.
I did not.
All right, and I think I remember asking back in the day, has this ever happened before? With
I know there's a couple that met there, but
right, but nobody ever went down to the academy as husband and wife. And I remember seeing, because I knew you before, and I remember looking at the.
We already knew each other.
I looked at the roster. I'm like, why the fuck is Brian's wife on here too? Like, what? This doesn't make any sense. And because I didn't know that April was. I didn't know that she was on. I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, they're like, no, it's his wife. Like they're in the same academy class. And so Brian comes down, and it was my first class as an instructor. I know what I was doing. And I don't know, Brian, you probably could tell immediately that I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh my God.
But
no, I'm kidding.
Let me tell you that story.
But it's a lesson in humility because
I bet.
Here I am not knowing what I know tonight. And I'm supposed to be his instructor.
Yeah. Tell him what to do.
And
He's stupid.
especially in that role,
insignificant.
It's a role, and it's a job I had to do at the time. But the importance of what I was doing was insignificant. The way I looked at it, I never thought that the job wasn't important, like being an instructor, because there were some people who definitely needed to be helped and who definitely needed guidance through that whole process. But what am I gonna help Brian with?
Going through that was very difficult for us for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Both me and my wife were in the same class, and we had basically a 1 and a 2-year-old at the time. We had just put them into full daycare. We had to. And we talked about what are our options here. At the time, we knew they were hiring multiple classes.
You discussed waiving.
We discussed it. She waives it. Well, she goes 2 weeks later. That doesn't help us.
Yeah.
I waive it. Well, my end goal. I mean, I'm not here to make any friends. I'm here to tell a story. I want to cross over. I'm gonna lose seniority. There is no right or wrong here. You can't waive it. You should have to waive it 3 or 4 times to make it any different. I mean, we're still going to be going to the academy at the same time. They're so stacked and heavy on classes.
Yeah, I think we had 4 going at one time when you guys are down there.
There was 3 before we graduated. I think they started the 4th before. Yeah, I think you're right. So I think it was basically let's figure this out. And through favors I could never repay. My best friend Mike, my kid's godfather, actually picked them up from daycare every single day while we were in the academy.
Wow.
While we went, just because we figured, and it was a shorter academy at the time because it was so pressed for medics at the time. So we're like, well,
you thought your guys was short. They got shorter.
What? What? Yeah. See, I knew I was getting fucked somehow.
Oh, man.
But yeah, so I mean, it ended up working out. Being completely blessed with my family and friends from the start. And before I ever joined the Marine Corps, I had the same friends. These were all the same guys I grew up with, went to high school with, that were able to help us out. Thank God. So we're able to just basically suck it up for 6-7 weeks and get the academy done.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've been going at it for goddamn 4 hours. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, fellas, let's wrap it up here. But I'm all for coming back in here and getting into the fire stuff because we haven't even got to your fire service career. 4 hours, we haven't even got there. Right. So if you guys are cool with it, I would very much love to have you guys back. We sit down. We're gonna have to get more bottles of whiskey, but totally doable. So Brian, amazing stories. Thank you so much.
Maybe some more peanut butter whiskey.
Danny, thank you for coming in. We'll get more peanut butter whiskey.
I'm leaving that.
Maybe some Ritz.
And Alfredo, amazing to meet you as well. Thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me, man.
Yeah, and Corey, any last words? Anything any housekeeping that we got to do before Steve yells at you?
We definitely need people to visit the website.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
www.chicagosbravest.com. And that's our website. We have a website. And make sure to grab some stuff on there if you guys can to support the website. Go on Facebook, go on Instagram. Want to thank again for our music.
Lost Before Arrival.
Yep. Again.
Check that out on Facebook. I mean, the guy, how great was it? He was an amazing guitar player.
Yeah. And a super great guy.
Nice guy.
So super nice kid. So definitely want to thank him for that again. And again, I can't thank you guys enough. I mean, humbling is a word for sure that we could throw out to you
At
guys.
the very, I mean, I don't know how we're going to be able to top tonight. I mean, this is the longest podcast we've done. And
is it really?
Oh yeah. And it's probably the most whiskeys we've ever drank in one podcast.
Right. And we can go 5 more hours.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's no way to tell the whole story.
Yeah.
We'll just keep cracking at it, man. We'll just keep cracking at it. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys again. And thank you for tuning in to Chicago's Bravest Stories. We'll see you guys next time.
The opinions and views are that of Chicago's Bravest Stories podcast and their guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any municipal governments, fire protection districts, fire departments, EMS, or law enforcement organizations.